everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and welcome to Look Back. This is a series of videos that I do where I take a look at reviews I did 1, 5, and 10 years ago this particular week, and I tell you what I think about them now, if I think about them at all. So here we go. We're going to take a look at a year ago. So last year, I took a look at Merchants of Magic, a set, a watch tale. This is a roll and write or a flip and write, but it's a neat idea. You're rolling dice and using those numbers to get different things so that you can buy cards, and you kind of like have a fantasy store where you're selling stuff to people. It's a neat idea, but there's just too much luck in it, so it's a 5 out of 10. I did a look back, in a sense, a year ago of Heave Ho, one of a two-player Cosmos line. Really enjoyed this game. It's silly fun. It's not a lot of strategy, a tug-of-war game. 7 out of 10. Blockness. It's weird to think this came out a year ago now. A game in which you are building little Loch Ness monsters, moving them around. An abstract strategy game. 7 out of 10. Tutankhamun came out a year ago, and this is a game where you move as far as you want on a path and take the tile that's there. I gave it an 8, and it's a very fun game. The only reason I'm knocking it down to a 7 now is that as I keep playing it over this year and teaching it, that's this particular production, I think it's beautiful, but it's really hard to tell the tiles apart. And I think that just knocks it a bit and makes it less playable. And then a year ago, I did Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition, which is a fantastic card version of Terraforming Mars and Race for the Galaxy mix, and does a really good job combining them. 9 out of 10. 5 years ago, I took a look at Dozens Donuts. This is kind of putting donuts down in a grid. It's okay. 6 out of 10. The Quest for El Dorado. This is a game that I often get some garbage at as people like, you don't like it. I gave it a 7 out of 10. But in the studio, I probably like it the least of everybody here. It's a racing game, deck building game. I think it's pretty fun, but that's about it. But that's what a 7 is. But again, I know some people really love it. Shaboom! This is a game that's just a box full of pieces and you do stuff with them. I like boxes full of pieces, but 6 out of 10. Mythos Tales. This is a Cthulhu-esque version of Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, and I like that idea, and it works well, but there are some misprints in the book and stuff. Other games, app games, have kind of knocked this just slightly, so instead of a 7.5, I dropped it to a 7. Cargolino Valentino, this is a 7.5, but it's for kids. It's a little racing game of different animals and things, and you're playing cards. Works really well with younger kids, even elementary kids. Viral. This one I knocked just a smidge because it's been a while, from a 9 to an 8.5, but it's part of the Dice Tower Essentials. I still really like it. A cool area control. I guess maybe the 0.5 is because the whole thing about viruses is not quite as exciting these days to play, but I still think Viral is a great game. Arena for the Gods. This is from Yellow. They kind of looked at this game as essentially a follow-up to King of Tokyo. The problem with this game is you have to do some drafting of cards at the beginning of the game, and you might not know how the game works before you do that. But if you do that and you get into it, it's fun. It's just not amazing fun. It's just good, solid fun. 7 out of 10. Attack on Titan: The Last Stand. This is a one versus many. Again, there's more of these games that come out now, but this is still pretty fun, and it has a very unique look to it as one person's playing this giant Titan, trying to eat people, and other people are playing the warriors, fighting against them. From an 8 to a 7.5. Lab Wars. This one is a game I wanted to like more. I like the idea of, getting, learning about science and all, but this is not a great game. 5 out of 10. The Godfather: Corleone's Empire. This is from Eric Lang. It's really kind of in the Blood Rage series, or it feels like it. It's not very much like the movies, but that's okay. It's just a good, in-your-face mobster game. I originally gave it an 8.5. I think with all these other similar games that come out, I'm dropping it to an 8, but I still like it a lot. Frog Riders, an abstract game where you're jumping frogs around in a circle. 7 out of 10. Stop Thief. This was the reprint from Restoration Games. Worked well, did a good job. It's a light game, but mixing it with an app, it's a very nice little game. 7.5. And Tip Tap. This is a 6.5 I gave this one, where you're kind of matching pieces with frames. It's an interesting idea. It's okay, mostly for kids. All right, 10 years ago. Whew, I played some bad games 10 years ago. We have Goldenaire. This is about making jewelry. It's from the same guy who made Gemblo, which is not a very good game at all. Herding Cats from Playroom. Flipping cards and having pretty much no decision makings. Both of those are 4 out of 10. The Lord of the Rings Nazgul. Now this one, at the time, I gave it a 5.5, which is pretty much not that bad. I'm dropping it to a 4. I was more wanting to like this at the time, I think. Terrible rule book. They use the little dice whiz kids. They have these cool dice they use for quarriers. This is just a mess of a game. The Crow in the Pitcher. This is a 5 out of 10. It's based on the story of the crow dropping pebbles in a pitcher to make the water rise. It's a 3 to 4 player trick-taking game. It just isn't that interesting. Undermining. This is kind of like a Dig Dug style board game. It's okay. 6 out of 10. Scallywags. This is a game mostly for kids about dividing booty as pirates. That's a 6 out of 10. Santiago de Cuba. Man, I forgot about this one. Cuba, a big box game, which I thought was okay at best. But they made a smaller game called Santiago de Cuba where you're driving this car around the island and taking actions based on where it is. I liked it. 7 out of 10. Hiroshima Hex 3.0. Wow, it's weird to think the 3rd edition of Hiroshima Hex came out a decade ago. I like this one. I think I like the app better, but I still like the idea of placing armies down in a grid and shooting at each other. It works. 7.5. Dice Town. Oof, I almost raised this one to a 9. I love Dice Town. Rolling dice from a cup and finding them. 10 years ago. I remember this game so well when that came out. 8.5. 1989, Dawn of Freedom. Oh, wow. 1989, it's a great game. It is a game that is based on the fall of communism in 1989. It's not one I want to play all the time because it is long and lengthy, and I think I like Twilight Struggle better. This is based on that system, but it's still a great game, 9 out of 10. And then Race for the Galaxy, one of the greatest card games ever made. I love it. I want to play it all the time. A 9.5 out of 10. Anyway, those are the games that I played 1, 5, and 10 years ago. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and this has been Look Back on the Dice Tower.